Everyone laughed when she stepped into the arena, a young girl against the Millionaire's wildest, most feared horse. They said she didn't stand a chance. Cowboys had tried, champions had failed, and the Millionaire mocked every single one of them. This wasn't just a horse. It was his pride, his fortune, his ego. And when the girl climbed into the saddle, the crowd laughed louder than ever. But what happened in the next few minutes silenced the entire arena and turned her into a legend. On this channel, we bring you incredible stories of wild horses, their beauty, and their untamed spirit. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon to never miss an adventure. The arena buzzed with excitement, the kind of energy only fear and spectacle could produce. At its center stood the Millionaire, a man known for his arrogance as much as his wealth. He was tall, impeccably dressed, with a polished cane that tapped the ground like a metronome of authority. Beside him, in a specially reinforced pen, stood his prize, a massive black stallion with wild eyes and rippling muscles. The horse had earned a reputation across the county as untamable, a creature that had thrown every rider who dared approach it. Cowboys, champions, and even seasoned equestrians had tried and failed spectacularly. Today, the Millionaire smirked at the crowd. "No one will ride him," he announced, his voice loud enough to echo through the arena. "I'll bet every coin I own that not a single person here has the skill or courage to stay in that saddle for more than a minute." Laughter rippled through the audience, a mix of nervous anticipation and gleeful cruelty. Bets were placed, whispers spread, and the arena seemed to pulse with the thrill of impending disaster. Men stepped forward, one after another, each confident at first and each crushed by the horse's raw power within moments. The audience cheered, some with delight, some with pity. The Millionaire's smirk widened with each failure, feeding on the spectacle like a predator savoring its prey. He gestured grandly, inviting another challenger. "Who's next?" he called, eyes scanning the crowd as if mocking them all. Then came a stir at the back. A small figure moved forward, almost unnoticed at first. The crowd's laughter dimmed into curious murmurs. She was young, smaller than the Cowboys, and far less imposing. But her eyes were steady, unshaken. There was a calmness about her that made people stop and wonder. The Millionaire laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. "You? Don't make me laugh," he sneered. But as she took her first step into the arena, a hush fell over the crowd. Something in her presence suggested this challenge was about to take a turn no one could have predicted. The murmurs in the arena grew louder as the girl walked forward. At first, many thought she was just another curious onlooker, too small and fragile to face the massive black stallion. Cowboys snickered, nudging each other, certain the spectacle would end quickly with her humiliation. Even the Millionaire's smirk widened, confident that his unbeatable horse would prove itself again. She moved with quiet determination, her steps measured, her eyes never leaving the horse. The sun caught the strands of her hair, and for a brief moment, the audience noticed a certain calm aura surrounding her. It wasn't fear that carried her forward. It was focus, a connection to something the crowd couldn't yet understand. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Who is she? She can't possibly ride that beast. This will be hilarious." The horse snorted and pawed at the ground, sensing a new challenger. Its ears flattened, muscles coiled like springs, and its wild eyes darted back and forth. The arena seemed to shrink as the tension thickened. The Millionaire laughed, a sharp, derisive sound. "Step aside, girl. This is for real riders," he barked, tapping his cane on the ground. But she didn't flinch. People in the crowd began to lean forward, curiosity outweighing mockery. There was something magnetic about her presence, a quiet courage that contrasted sharply with the arrogance and fear around her. Even some of the Cowboys exchanged uneasy glances, sensing that perhaps she was unlike anyone who had ever faced this horse before. She stopped a few feet away from the stallion, and for the first time, the massive creature hesitated. The crowd fell silent, sensing the tension, sensing that this moment might change everything. All laughter faded into breathless anticipation. The millionaire's eyes narrowed, suddenly uncertain. For the first time, his smirk faltered. Could this small, determined girl actually succeed where so many had failed? The arena seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the impossible to unfold. The silence in the arena didn't last long. Whispers turned into chuckles, and chuckles into full-blown laughter. "Look at her. She doesn't even come close to the stirrups," someone jeered from the stands. "She'll be tossed in seconds," another shouted. Cowboys nudged each other, smirking, certain the girl's attempt would end in humiliation. Even some spectators who had been quietly curious couldn't hide their doubt. The girl stood her ground, unshaken. Every laugh, every mocking word, seemed only to strengthen her resolve. Her eyes remained locked on the horse, unafraid, steady, almost as if she could see something others could not, a flicker of trust hidden beneath the stallion's wild exterior. The horse pawed at the dirt, snorting violently, sensing the doubt radiating from the crowd. Its energy was raw, untamed, and threatening. The millionaire's laughter rang out like a bell. "Is that all the courage they can muster?" "Pathetic," he sneered, waving his hand dismissively. "Step aside, girl. You'll only make a fool of yourself." He leaned forward, anticipating the imminent chaos. Around him, the crowd's laughter swelled, fueled by years of watching riders fail. No one could ride his horse, that was fact. Yet the girl didn't step back. Instead, she inhaled slowly, exhaling a quiet confidence that seemed to ripple through the arena. The murmurs began to shift. A few spectators leaned forward, curiosity piercing the wall of mockery. "What is she doing?" someone whispered. She's calm." The realization spread like wildfire. There was something different about her approach. The horse shifted uneasily, muscles tensing, ears flicking toward her. It was sensing the same change the crowd was beginning to notice. This girl was not afraid. Unlike the cowboys who had charged recklessly, she moved with patience, with respect, and with understanding. The laughter continued, but now carried a note of uncertainty. The arena had always belonged to the horse. Untamed, unbeatable, a creature no one could control. But now, for the first time, the impossible seemed possible. The millionaire's smirk wavered. He gripped his cane tighter, his arrogance confronted by an unexpected force. A young girl whose courage refused to be mocked, whose determination might just rewrite the rules of the arena. The horse's nostrils flared, steam rising in small bursts as it pawed the dirt with increasing intensity. Its muscles coiled like steel springs beneath the glossy black coat, veins standing out with every movement. The crowd collectively held its breath. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The stallion's legendary fury unleashed on a new challenger. With a sudden, violent snort, the horse reared back on its hind legs, hooves clawing at the air. Dust rose around its hooves, and the arena shook with the raw power of the creature. Its eyes were wild, dark orbs that seemed to see right through anyone daring to approach. The cowboys stepped back instinctively, some muttering prayers, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Even the millionaire's confident grin faltered. He had seen countless riders thrown, bruised, and terrified, but the intensity in the horse's gaze now seemed amplified, as if it knew a new kind of challenge had arrived. The girl remained motionless, her posture calm, almost meditative. She didn't flinch or panic. She simply observed, waiting, studying the horse's every twitch, every shift of weight, every flare of its nostrils. The arena's laughter had long since died down, replaced by a tense silence, broken only by the horse's harsh breaths and the distant murmurs of awe and fear. With a sudden sideways motion, the horse lashed out, kicking at the air and stamping the ground with terrifying force. The sound of hooves striking the dirt echoed through the arena like a drumbeat of impending disaster. The audience instinctively leaned back, some gripping the railings, some holding their breath, fully expecting the girl to be hurled into the dirt within moments. But she didn't move. Instead, she took a careful step closer, unafraid of the stallion's fury. Her calmness seemed to contrast with the chaos around her. almost challenging the horse to match her courage with its aggression. For the first time, the wild stallion hesitated, its ears flicking toward her, nostrils flaring, as if questioning this bold, fearless presence. The arena held its breath. Something extraordinary was beginning to unfold, and even the millionaire's confidence wavered as the impossible seemed just a heartbeat away. The girl took a slow, deliberate step closer, her movements measured and calm. The crowd held its breath, leaning forward in their seats, unsure if they were about to witness triumph or disaster. The stallion reared again, muscles rippling, hooves pawing violently at the ground. Its wild eyes darted around, searching for any sign of weakness. But the girl showed none. She stopped just a few feet from the beast, her gaze steady, her body relaxed, as if she had entered a silent conversation with him. Instead of rushing or attempting to force control, she extended a trembling but confident hand toward the horse's nose. A small, soft whistle escaped her lips. Not a command, not a shout, but a gentle, inviting sound. The stallion froze mid-step, ears twitching, nostrils flaring. The audience gasped. The millionaire's laughter faltered into an uncertain chuckle. "It's useless," he muttered under his breath. "She'll never." The horse snorted sharply and stamped the ground, sending a puff of dust into the air, yet he did not strike or bolt. Something in the girl's calm persistence seemed to reach him, a silent message that she was not a threat, that she respected his power but sought partnership, not domination. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the massive creature lowered its head, nostrils brushing the girl's outstretched hand. A collective murmur ran through the crowd, blending relief with awe. For a moment, the arena was silent except for the sound of steady breathing, hers and his, as if the world itself had paused to witness the impossible connection forming. The millionaire's face tightened with disbelief. This had never happened. No one had ever approached his untamable stallion without fear, let alone touched him without consequence. The girl's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. The horse shifted, relaxing its tense muscles, but keeping one cautious eye on her. The impossible had begun. In the quiet, electric moment, the audience felt it too. A bond had been made, fragile yet profound, the first step toward a ride no one thought could ever happen. The stage was set. The next few minutes would decide whether legend would be made or dreams crushed forever. The girl stayed calm, her hand resting gently on the stallion's broad neck. The crowd watched in tense silence, sensing that this moment was unlike anything they had seen before. The horse, once wild and unpredictable, now seemed to hesitate, listening to her movements, responding to her quiet presence. Muscles that had tensed at every rider's approach now relaxed fractionally, ears flicking forward instead of backward. She spoke softly, almost in a whisper, her voice carrying through the arena like a gentle breeze. No commands, no shouts, just reassurance, patience, and a promise of safety. Slowly, the stallion shifted his weight, lowering his powerful head until his muzzle hovered near her shoulder. The audience exhaled collectively. Even the cowboys who had mocked her moments ago felt their hearts skip a beat. Something extraordinary was unfolding. The millionaire's smirk faltered completely. He had grown rich on spectacle, on the humiliation of others, and now a quiet girl was defying every expectation he had built over the years. "Impossible," he muttered under his breath, gripping his cane tightly. Every failed rider, every crushed ego, every roar of laughter that had once filled this arena suddenly felt meaningless. This was different. This was real. The stallion, sensing her calm confidence, allowed her to move closer, guiding her without force. She ran her hand along his neck, feeling the raw power restrained by trust. Each gentle motion deepened their connection. The girl was no longer just a challenger. She had become a partner in this dance, coaxing the horse into a rhythm that no one had ever managed before. The audience leaned forward, captivated, some holding their hands to their mouths in disbelief. The arena that had been filled with mocking laughter now trembled with awe. Even the millionaire could not look away. His eyes tracked every subtle movement, every flicker of understanding between horse and girl. For the first time, it was not a battle of man versus beast. It was a moment of harmony, a delicate balance of courage, patience, and trust. The impossible had begun to feel possible, and the crowd, once eager to witness failure, now held its breath for triumph. The stage was set. One final step remained, mounting the legendary horse, a feat that had eluded everyone else. And in that step lay the moment that would decide whether this girl would become a legend. The girl took a deep breath, her hand still resting gently on the stallion's strong neck. The crowd watched in tense anticipation, every eye fixed on the small figure about to attempt what had defeated so many before her. The horse shifted, muscles rippling beneath its sleek black coat, nostrils flaring as if testing her courage. But the girl did not falter. She moved with quiet confidence, each step deliberate, each motion full of respect. Carefully, she placed her foot in the stirrup, pausing to steady herself. The arena seemed to hold its collective breath. Spectators leaned forward, some gripping the railings, others covering their mouths in disbelief. The millionaire's eyes narrowed, his jaw tight, his usual smirk replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. Could this fragile-looking girl truly achieve what seasoned riders could not? Slowly, she shifted her weight, swinging her other leg over the powerful horse's back. A faint gasp ran through the crowd, followed by murmurs of awe. The stallion's ears twitched, but did not buck or rear. The girl's calm presence seemed to soothe the beast, as if her patience had reached deep into its wild nature. She settled into the saddle, posture straight and confident, hands lightly holding the reins. For a moment, there was silence, as if time itself had paused. The horse shifted slightly under her weight, testing her balance, but she responded with gentle guidance, her movements fluid and assured. The audience's astonishment grew with each passing second. No one had ever managed such harmony with the millionaire's untamable horse. The millionaire leaned forward, gripping his cane, disbelief etched across his face. The cowboys and spectators who had laughed moments ago now whispered among themselves, eyes wide, hearts racing. The impossible was happening before their very eyes. With one final deep breath, the girl urged the horse forward. The powerful animal obeyed, moving into a slow, steady trot. Each step was controlled, each motion synchronized between rider and mount. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the arena as the once ferocious stallion now moved with grace and obedience, guided by a courage and patience no one had anticipated. In that instant, the impossible had become reality. The girl, small but unyielding, had done what no one else could. The arena, once filled with ridicule, now trembled with awe and anticipation, and the legend of her ride was about to begin. The girl's hands were steady on the reins, her posture calm yet commanding. The stallion moved beneath her, its powerful legs carrying them smoothly across the arena. The crowd could hardly believe what they were witnessing. This was the horse that had thrown every rider before, the creature that had become a symbol of untamable strength. Yet now it moved with a controlled grace, responding to every subtle cue from the girl. Gasps and whispers spread like wildfire. Is she really riding it? How is this possible? Look at the way it's listening to her. The audience, once ready to witness failure, was now captivated by the display of harmony. The girl's connection with the stallion was palpable. Every step, every turn, every gentle nudge of the reins showed a partnership built on patience, trust, and courage. The millionaire's face grew red with disbelief. He had made his fortune on betting and ridicule, on the humiliation of those who dared challenge him. Now, a single girl was undoing years of arrogance in a matter of minutes. His cane gripped tightly. He watched helplessly as the impossible unfolded. The stallion responded to the girl's every movement with astonishing precision. When she urged him into a trot, his powerful legs moved rhythmically, a perfect dance of strength and obedience. When she shifted her weight slightly, he adjusted, never faltering, never rebelling. The audience was silent, all replacing laughter, every heart racing with tension and amazement. Some of the cowboys who had laughed moments ago now stared in disbelief, jaws tight. The girl was not just riding the horse. She was commanding respect from a creature that had defied every expert. Each second increased the suspense. Would the horse remain steady, or would the arena witness the inevitable chaos? But chaos never came. Instead, there was a beautiful, almost magical synchronicity between rider and horse. Dust kicked up beneath their hooves, sunlight catching on the stallion's glistening coat, highlighting every muscle and curve. The crowd held its breath, mesmerized, as the girl guided the horse in smooth circles, quick turns, and steady strides. She had transformed fear into mastery, wildness into obedience, defiance into trust. In that moment, it became clear the impossible had not only been attempted, it had been achieved. The arena erupted into cheers, some cautious at first, then louder as the truth sank in. The girl had done what no one else could. The legend of her ride was no longer a possibility. It was reality. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause, some cheering wildly, others simply frozen in awe. The girl had done what no one thought possible. She had tamed the untamable, ridden the legendary stallion, and done so with grace, courage, and confidence. The arena, once filled with ridicule and mockery, now trembled with admiration. The millionaire's face was a mask of disbelief. His eyes, once gleaming with arrogance, narrowed in shock. Every failed rider, every humiliating display, every laugh that had once fueled his ego now seemed hollow. He had built his reputation on dominance, on spectacle, on proving the world wrong. But now, a young girl had undone it all in mere minutes. His cane shook slightly in his hand as he stepped forward, trying to regain control of the moment, trying to assert authority. But the crowd no longer looked to him for direction. Their eyes were fixed on her, the small girl who had dared, who had succeeded, who had changed the narrative entirely. Cowboys who had mocked her moments ago looked on in silence, some hiding their faces in disbelief, others shaking their heads as if to say, "I can't believe it." Spectators whispered among themselves, stunned that a single act of courage could topple a legacy of arrogance. Even the announcers seemed at a loss for words, their usual pomp replaced by stunned admiration. The girl gently guided the stallion to a halt at the center of the arena. The powerful animal lowered its head, nuzzling her in a gesture of trust and respect. The crowd erupted again, louder this time, applause echoing against the walls, chants of her name rising over the cheers. For the first time, the arena wasn't about the millionaire or the horse or spectacle. It was about courage, determination, and the power of believing in oneself. The millionaire swallowed hard, his ego battered, his smirk gone. He had underestimated her, underestimated the bond that could exist between rider and horse, underestimated the courage of a girl who refused to be dismissed. He realized, painfully, that true mastery didn't come from wealth, power, or ridicule. It came from heart, patience, and respect. As the girl dismounted, the audience rose in a standing ovation. Cameras flashed, whistles blew, and cheers filled the air. She had not just ridden the horse. She had transformed the arena, humbled the arrogant, and inspired everyone watching. In that moment, it became clear the legend was hers, and the millionaire's defeat was complete. The arena was alive with celebration. The cheers of the crowd echoed off the walls, carrying the story of what had just unfolded. The young girl, small and unassuming, stood at the center of it all, her hair slightly tousled, cheeks flushed from the ride, but eyes shining with quiet triumph. Around her, the once mocking audience now erupted in admiration, recognizing the courage, patience, and skill that had made the impossible possible. The stallion nuzzled her gently, his powerful frame relaxed for the first time under human guidance. Where he had been wild, untamable, and feared, he now moved with trust, responding to the slightest cues from her hands, her posture, her voice. The bond they had formed in moments of tension and bravery was evident to all, a silent testament to the power of respect and understanding between human and animal. The millionaire stood off to the side, his usual arrogance replaced by stunned humility. He had prided himself on the horse's untamable nature, on humiliating countless riders, and on being untouchable in his wealth and ego. But none of that mattered now. A girl had risen above expectation, defied ridicule, and proven that heart and courage could accomplish what brute strength and pride could not. His smirk was gone, replaced by a tight-lipped acknowledgement of defeat. Spectators began to chant her name, the roar swelling like a wave across the arena. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment for the world to witness. Children pointed, inspired, whispering to their friends about the girl who dared to face the impossible. Adults nodded in awe, reminded that courage and determination are never bound by age, size, or expectation. The girl stepped down from the saddle, the horse following her with steady steps, a loyal companion rather than a wild adversary. She looked out across the crowd, feeling the weight of their admiration and the joy of the achievement. Every doubter, every mocking laugh, every raised eyebrow had been silenced by the power of her belief in herself. In that moment, a legend was born, not just of a ride, but of courage against arrogance, of patience against fear, of respect against cruelty. The story would be told and retold, not as a tale of wealth or spectacle, but as a testament to what can be achieved when someone refuses to be intimidated by the impossible. The arena would never forget the day the impossible became reality, and neither would the world, as the image of a young girl standing triumphantly beside a once-untamable stallion became a symbol of hope, inspiration, and legendary courage for generations to come. Against all odds, she faced the impossible and triumphed. A young girl, underestimated by everyone, turned fear into courage, chaos into trust, and a wild horse into a legend. Remember this moment. It proves that determination, patience, and heart can overcome even the greatest challenges. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to see more incredible tales of courage and triumph. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that even the impossible can be conquered.